Hi, this is Brendan from Watto Training, and in this tutorial we take a look at teaching strategies for car driving instructors. The first tip is to keep clear and structured instruction. Provide step-by-step instructions for tasks such as starting the vehicle, checking mirrors, and making turns. Use simple, direct language and avoid overloading the learner with information. Give instructions well in advance, especially in high traffic or complex driving situations. Number 2, active demonstration and modelling. Show learners how to perform tasks before asking them to do it, e.g., demonstrate a U-turn or, for example, a reverse park. Use talk-aloud techniques while demonstrating to explain thought processes. If necessary, perform a task multiple times to reinforce learning. So you may not always need to use active demonstration and modelling because you may have a student who's done a lot of hours of training and is quite comfortable to be talked through and then execute the manoeuvres. But the main thing to take away is that this is a strategy that you can employ. Doesn't mean you must employ it, but you can go to it if you think it's going to assist the learner. Number 3, progressive skill building, also known as scaffolding. Start with basic skills, for example, smooth acceleration, braking, and steering, before progressing to more complex tasks, for example, lane changes, roundabouts, and freeway driving. Gradually introduce new skills, ensuring the student is comfortable before moving to the next level. Break down maneuvers into smaller, manageable steps. Number 4, interactive questioning and reflection. Use open-ended questions to encourage students to think critically about their driving. For example, what should you check before changing lanes? Encourage self-reflection by asking, how do you think that turn went? Or, what could you do differently next time? Use the guided discovery approach, where students are encouraged to find solutions themselves rather than being told directly. So this technique is quite good as well for someone who has some driving experience. If you have someone who's never driven before, you might find that you're in more of an instructional or a show and tell mode, but the further down you get as you're guiding them towards more independent driving and preparing for not only the driving test but the P-plater phase, this technique is really helpful. Number 5, positive reinforcement and constructive feedback. Praise specific aspects of performance, for example, great mirror checks before merging. Offer constructive feedback immediately after an action using a calm and supportive tone. Use the correct praise method. Acknowledge what was done well, highlight areas for improvement, and reinforce strengths. Number 6, goal setting and progress tracking. Set clear, achievable objectives for each lesson. E.g., today we'll focus on smooth gear transitions in traffic. Involve the student in setting goals to increase engagement and motivation. Keep a record of progress to identify strengths and areas needing improvement. Number 7, the use of visual aids and diagrams. Use whiteboards or paper diagrams to explain road positioning, roundabout navigation, or complex intersections. Digital tools like driving apps or an iPad can be useful for visualizing different road scenarios. Encourage students to visualize their driving path before executing a maneuver. Number 8, adaptability to learning styles. Identify whether a student is a visual, auditory, or kinesthetic learner and adjust teaching methods accordingly. You would say that generally people aren't just one of those. They might have a slant towards one more than another, or a combination. Adapt the lesson plan based on the student's confidence level and ability to handle different traffic situations. Offer alternative explanations if a student struggles with a concept. Number 9, simulated and real-world driving scenarios. Introduce real-life driving conditions such as night driving, wet weather, and peak hour traffic. Simulate emergency situations, for example, sudden braking or hazard avoidance in a controlled environment. Use different road types, such as residential streets, highways, multi-lane roads, and build versatility. Number 10, encouraging metacognition and self-regulation. Teach students to think about their thinking. For example, planning. What's my plan before I enter this roundabout? Monitoring. Am I keeping a safe following distance? Evaluating. Did I handle that merge correctly? Encourage students to assess their own performance and set improvement strategies. Number 11, managing anxiety and building confidence. Recognize signs of nervousness and provide reassurance. Gradually increase the complexity of tasks as confidence builds. Use relaxation techniques such as controlled breathing to help students stay calm. Number 12, controlled instructor intervention. Allow the student to make minor mistakes and self-correct before intervening. Use dual controls only when necessary for safety. Explain why intervention was needed and how to avoid similar mistakes. And I'd just like to add to this one to always try and match your training area to the capabilities of the student. Number 13, real-time feedback and reflection time. Provide immediate, actionable feedback during the lesson. Use end-of-lesson discussions to summarize what went well and areas for improvement. Have the student verbalize what they learned and how they can apply it in future lessons. Number 14, developing hazard perception and defensive driving skills. Teach proactive driving strategies such as scanning ahead, anticipating other drivers' actions, and managing space. Encourage students to verbalize hazards as they drive. For example, I see a cyclist approaching the intersection. Use a mix of urban, suburban, and highway environments to develop adaptability. Number 15, fostering independence for solo driving readiness. Gradually reduce the level of instructor input to encourage independent decision-making. Simulate driving tests under test conditions to prepare students for their licensing assessment. Discuss real-world driving challenges, for example, dealing with aggressive drivers or unexpected road closures.